guys? Stu here. Fancy seeing me twice in 1 week? That doesn't happen a lot. What is this, Christmas? I honestly wish it was. It's too hot at the moment. It's far too hot. Anyway, typical British moaning about it being too hot out of the way. Today we're talking about a new film which came out last week over here in the UK, which was Ocean's 8, which is brought to us by Gary Ross, who's the director behind films such as Hunger Games and, a little way back when, Pleasantville, which is one of those like weirdly delightful things you stumble upon when you're like, I wonder what he did. Oh, Pleasantville? This is delightful. Big fan of that film. Love a bit of Tobey Maguire. What a man. Anyway, Ocean's 8, it's the latest in the Ocean's franchise. I guess that's what we're calling it at this point. There's been a couple of them before. There haven't been a few for a while, and they were like, we'll do a new one. We'll do it with an entirely female cast, which seems to be a big thing they're trying to push at the moment in Hollywood. Doesn't always go as well as other times, but this one has it's got a damn good cast behind it. We've got people like Sandra Bullock, Cate Blanchett, Sarah Paulson, Helena Bonham Carter. I mean, there are too many fantastic actresses in this film, so surely it's going to go well, right? And I got to say, after seeing it, I mean, it's an enjoyable time. I was entertained, but there's a lot of things in this film which really slip it up for me in an annoying way, because it could have been so much better than it was. And the film is essentially, I guess it's a rough link to the first ones in that we follow the estranged sister of Danny Ocean from the first couple of Ocean's films, who's played by Sandra Bullock. She's essentially just gone out of jail and she's like, hey, I want to go do a heist. So she gets a group of girls together and they go and heist the shit out of some jewelry. That's pretty much the film. If that sounds simple, I'm really not keeping it spoiler-free there, because there isn't really anything else to the film, which is both a downfall and a kind of a positive of the film. I'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, it's a fantastic cast, as I said. We've got people like Sandra Bullock in the lead role, who's pretty watchable and great as ever. We've also got people like Cate Blanchett, who I will go and see in anything. She could literally just be stood watching nothing for 2 hours. I'd probably watch it. I'd probably rate it well. So you've got to that point in your career, Kate. Well done. But Sarah Paulson's great in the film, as usual. Helena Bonham Carter's in there. They're all having a fun time, which bleeds through the screen, and I think does add to the enjoyment in this film. There's also Rihanna in there, who's one of those actresses that, well, I mean, she's a musician that's turned actress, so I'm kind of hoping she goes that whole Justin Timberlake route, where she actually ends up being great in pretty much all the films she's in, picking good roles there, because, I mean, when she first turned up in the whole acting scene, it was Battleship or whatever, and you're like, maybe let's not do this, Rihanna. Maybe let's not do this. But then I saw her in that Valerian film, and she was easily the best part of that film. I was surprised. So you know what? I think I'm on board with Rihanna as an actress at this point. She's in Ocean's 8. She does a good job. It's undeniably enjoyable watching these great actresses work together in a film. But you do get into that weird zone at points where you've got such a great cast that you end up wanting to see a lot more from each of them individually, and they never really fully get the chance to truly shine as well as they can do in the film, which I guess is inevitable given the fact that you've got 8 amazing actresses together in a film. It's kind of like a bit of a catch-22 there. So I would have liked to have seen more from some of them, particularly Helena Bonham Carter, who kind of just gets left with this weird Irish kind of parody where she's just this kind of confused, bumbly Irish woman, which is fun and works in the film, but I would have liked to have seen more from Helena Bonham Carter, because it's ruddy Helena Bonham Carter, you know? Direction-wise, it's pretty passable. I mean, it's confidently directed. It's got this very kind of early millennium, late 90s feel to the way it's edited together and the way it's shot. It's got some very kind of... they're not tacky, but they almost feel tacky, you know what I mean? Kind of zooms and crossfades, these kind of spinning around, which I think does work overall with the tone it's going for. It does feel a little bit like you're watching a bit of a throwback heist film, which I think works in its favour. But at the end of the day, I just think there's more that could have been done, and I think a film like this would have benefited greatly from a much more interesting director. It doesn't really feel like there's a particular sense of personality within the film. It does feel pretty by the numbers as far as direction of a heist film goes. And that carries on into the storyline as well. I mean, I wasn't expecting a huge amount, and I don't think you really need, like, crazy, groundbreaking new stuff here. I don't want to see the heist genre blown open in some weird, crazy, wacky new way. So it plays it very safe in terms of plot, which is, as I said, kind of its downfall and a positive, because I think there is definitely positives to working with a more simple story. It means that you're not really attempting to go anywhere crazy, so you can just enjoy it for what it is. But at the same time, we've seen this done before, and it does mean that, for me personally, I never really felt like there was any sense of stakes in the film. I never felt like there was any chance anything was going to go wrong. Everything just happens scene by scene, exactly how you expect it to, and you just sort of flow through it until you get to the end. Which there's definitely an argument to be made that works, and it knows it's doing that, and it just sort of goes for it, which I understand, I appreciate that. But like in the first half, it'll be like, oh, okay, we're being introduced to different characters, scene by scene, great, there's a load of them to get through, let's get through them. And they'll just be like, cool, I know this girl, next scene will be them going, hey, do you want to do a heist? And I'll be like, oh, I don't think so, I left that all behind. And then they'll be like, yeah, but money. And then they're like, suddenly for some reason they're like, wait, money's involved? Yeah, get me in. As if that wasn't the first thing you think when someone asks you to do a heist. What do you think you were robbing? Rocks? Yeah, the first half an hour is just, hey, this is a new character we're going to convince to get on board. And then they get on board. Nothing getting in their way. And then you get to the actual heist. And I mean, watching heists is innately enjoyable and entertaining to me. There's something about seeing someone with an elaborate plan, just doing that plan and it going to plan, and you're like, that's weirdly satisfying. Like, I could just watch someone go through a to-do list and I'd be like, nice, go you. So in that sense, it's enjoyable there, but I mean, it would have definitely, absolutely benefited from a little bit of a sense of something going wrong here. There's not really any point in the film where I was like, I don't feel like this scene's going to go the way that they want it to go. Like, they're going into a jewelry shop with glasses to scan a necklace that they need to recreate in their shop. And, you know, you want some sense of like, oh, maybe they won't get it done. And it does attempt that. I mean, there's like a sort of time period they got to get it done in. And there's this weird play between them and some of the other kind of security people. And you're like, are they onto them or not? It doesn't really do anything with it. Because you never feel like it's not going to happen. It just happens. And it just does that for about an hour in this film. The whole heist is just things that they wanted to happen, happening. There's not really any sense that it could go wrong at any point. But that being said, it was entertaining enough. And that's where I think the fact that they've got such a great cast really does help this film. If it had been a cast of people that are terrible and dull and don't really have any chemistry together, I might be stood here, you know, feeling much more negatively about this film. But the fact that they have got that cast means that I'm willing to get past some of the, let's call it slip-ups on the old heist front here. But then you get to the final kind of act of this film. It's very strange for me. This is where this film really started to derail for me. And I honestly feel like I would have been much more positive towards it had we just cut out a lot of stuff from the final half of this film. It's really when James Corden's character comes in. And, you know, it's kind of easy at this point to be like, hey, James Corden, fuck off, you're annoying. I don't want to be that guy, but I was watching the film and all I could think was, hey, James Corden, fuck off, you're annoying. And he plays this kind of agent that's onto them. He's looking, after the heist has happened, he's trying to find out what's happened. And it's the biggest point in the film where you get a chance to feel like, oh, hey, actually, maybe they're not going to get away with this. But the film doesn't do anything with it. He pops up and he goes, oh, I'm going to like sort of follow the threads here and try and find out things that are going on. But in the same way that the first half did it with the actual heist, with this investigation, it just feels like he pops up in a couple of scenes and goes, oh, I'm onto you here. And then nothing really comes of it. They're just like, okay, well, we'll frame them. They're fine. And you never really feel like he was ever going to catch them or that they were ever going to get caught and not get away with it. So as a result, it's just this weird 20 minutes in the film where James Corden appears. And the way that that's all tackled from a direction standpoint as well is strangely very farcical. It suddenly becomes this almost pantomime of James Corden following this sort of weird cat and mouse chase here. But it never feels like it has stakes. It never feels like anything's really happening. It's just James Corden frolicking around the place being an annoying little wanker. By the time the credits rolled, I'm quite conflicted in that I can't say I wasn't entertained through this film, but there isn't really anything I got from this film outside of me enjoying a great cast of actresses coming together, you know? So it's a weird one. I don't think I can really say I'm going to remember this film for a while. I don't think I'm ever really going to come back to it. But it wasn't a complete waste of 2 hours, and I think there's enjoyment to be had in here for various different reasons. I guess there's an argument to be made at the end of the day that it is what it is, and it's just doing that and having a fun time. And I can't really argue against that. So yeah, Ocean's 8 is a fine film. I don't think I'm going to go back to it. I don't think I'm going to really remember it in a couple of weeks. But what about you guys? Have you seen Ocean's 8 yet? It's been out over here in the UK for a little while. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. If you have had the chance to check it out, were you disappointed by it? Did you enjoy it? Whatever you thought, let me know down below. We'll have a little discussion there. And also, please, if you haven't already, do consider clicking subscribe. It really helps me out. It means that you will not miss any of these questionable reviews in the future. Just click the subscribe button or click that little bell thing. That's a fun thing you can click on YouTube now. Why not? And I'll see you guys soon for some more talking at you through a camera. But until next time, stay beautiful, mother truckers.